Brewing Company, downtown Utica. Fay Farms, where's the beef at? Contact Jimmy Fay. Family Landscaping, make your neighbors green with envy. Contact Russ. The Black River Ale House, where the Romans go. Dura Products, who's got the pipe? Jimmy Fay's got the pipe. Contact Jimmy Fay for irrigation, drainage, pool, and spa. You building a new house, contact Jimmy Fay. He's got your stuff. The B-Dry System. Your basement's wet? Get a hold of B-Dry. Believe in 271. Nobody fights alone. Eric Kiefer, LUTCF, your local representative. George Kaler, Sales and Service. Liberty Affordable Housing. Rome Sign and Display Company. Nice Scoba. The men and women in blue, thank you for what you do. Robert Dix Insurance Agency. Contact Bobby Dix. Tri-City Lacrosse. 40 years of summer fun. Master Vito Hyundai. Contact the sales force. CRM Rental Management. The Clinton Tractor and Implement Company. Contact the Caledona family. Hello. What? How you doing, Greg Beecher? What's up, Yeti Nation? How's everybody doing? Great seeing you there, Mr. Beecher. We're adapting and overcoming. You want to know what? Great day. Great day it was in the Adirondack region, we'll say. I know they definitely took a couple weeks of ass whoopings and took it out on the team. That's for sure.
Oh, I had myself off too. Yeah, it was definitely so I was just muted there, but here we are. Yeah, no, they needed it. It's been coming, but honestly, I look at what the fan boards were saying, and I think they were right when they were saying that it really is the offense. Their defense is what it is at this point, and they're expecting the goals, but if they want to win, they know they need those big goal games because even against Philly, when you watch it, it's they didn't shut them down. It's not like the defense you expect out of Buffalo.
Oh, the defense definitely let Philly, but they're pros as far as that goes, and they're darn good pros. But like you said, you're going to give up goals. You got to score more than them. And Dane Smith took it to him. He started unleashing Bernie, whatever his name is, Brian
Burn, Josh
22 there.
Burn.
I mess it up every week, and I apologize to him and everybody else, but it's engraved in my head to mess it up.
Yeah, no, that's what happens. I mean, and honestly though, I mean, when you watch him, it usually speaks for itself. He's a pretty amazing player.
Well, it was a role reversal as far as he was the disher. 7 assists. Dane Smith got 5 goals. Usually Dane has 1 goal and 7 assists, and it was a complete role reversal as far as that goes.
Yes, and finally our highlights popped up. We are actually going. The NDI source is finally working. I'm happy. Life is good.
See, it was those new cables from CBI. Must be.
CBI cables getting us straightened out, and yeah, we started right off the bat with the rush, which might have been part of how Buffalo was able to do so well at the tail end of the Philadelphia game. Maybe they started, maybe
Getting a
Philly
little
was a little
tired.
tired.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they back-to-back games in less than 24 hours.
Yeah,
Maybe a little less than 24 hours dressed. That's a pretty tough task, especially against going in. You're putting all the marbles on the table, needing to beat the rush, and you come up short, and now you got to go and at home, you know, uh, take on the defending champs. That's pretty tough. That is a lot to ask for.
It's a very tough weekend, but I mean they put themselves in the situation. Nobody forced them to have the start of the season that they had. But I mean even when you look at this game again, Philadelphia got 12 goals, but I think most of it's boiling down to Philadelphia has just not been able to stop them. The Philadelphia defense, though, I mean you look at this right now. I mean we're not even at halftime yet, and it's 6-2 with 10 minutes left. I mean, and even when that's Deacon not making a couple of beautiful saves. I had to
Beautiful
reclip
save.
that one. A beautiful glove save. Gets over, keeps his eyes on the ball, doesn't commit down low until he's too far over, and then it doesn't matter because he's got the angle. Beautiful save by Deacon Knott. And that's what I mean, though, is even when, so if you're watching Zach Higgins or Deacon Knott, it doesn't seem to matter. They are left alone way too much.
A lot of easy ground balls left out in front. Yep.
Yeah, no, a lot of easy ground balls left out in front, a lot of guys left unattended and not having the physical, you know, not getting pushed out in front. You'll see it time and time again. They get the
Yeah.
rebound, they get the shot without anybody putting a stick on their body or a body on their body. They're just kind of hoping that the goalie's going to make the save. And now you're at that point where I think, I mean, Zach Higgins was playing and he's played great, but you got to let Deacon Knott in and
Yeah.
let him get his lumps.
You gotta let him have his lumps. Some great play.
Yeah, that was beautiful. But I mean, a very high scoring game.
Yeah.
And Mike Messenger even gets
12 to
down on a
18.
breakaway,
12 to,
and
12 to 18. That's a hell of a lot of face-offs. That's for sure.
yeah, no, that's a great way to look at it. I like it. That's a hell of a lot of faceoffs, but you see a lot of power play goals. Definitely,
That's what I was just going to say as well. The power plays 5 for 5, Philly, and 2 for 4, 2 for 5 for the Rush. Great
yeah.
man up for Philadelphia.
No, Philadelphia's man up looked good, but I think really in this case they were down 8-3 at halftime, and you
Yeah,
try to come back, and that's hard to do because now you really need those multiple goal runs, and the Rush really did a good job of not ever giving them a chance to get caught up into the game. Zach Mann's looking better again. I mean, he came off to a pretty good start of the season, kind of cooled off a little bit, which you kind of expect is going to happen, but now is starting to look better again.
yeah, yeah. Well, it turned into a shot for shot or a goal for goal. Philly would get one, Rush would come right back down and pound one in. Philly get another one, and Rush would answer, and it was a good game.
Oh, yeah, no, it was definitely a good game, especially if you're a Rush fan. They haven't had the best year, so to see the offense kind of firing away like it is now, that's good. And then Philly a little bit too late at the end of the game to kind of come and try to make a comeback.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, this
Bringing
really
it
was
down.
probably their best chance right here, and you see Church with this goal. This was just, or not, yeah, this one was that was Church's beautiful.
Power play.
Nobody even knew it went in. You know, they walked
Yep.
around and you see him afterwards like, "What?" And he just goes around and it's like, "Yeah, it's already in the back of the net." I know, guys. Beautiful pass.
Ruby sneakers. It
Yeah.
was all about the Ruby sneakers right there to Blaze.
Yeah, Terrace has got the bright red shoes that helps him stick out, but unfortunately that was about all it helped him do. And actually, I think that one was Domini. So Domini and Terrace both play with those the bright red shoes usually.
Okay. Yeah, it was Dominique and
That's Domini because
Armstrong
there's Domini right there. And you see, does a great job pushing the first guy out. And then again, all by himself, all kinds of time.
coming right down the gullet.
Yeah.
Right down the gullet.
Yep.
Stared the goalie in the eye and just put it over his shoulder.
Yeah.
And then took another one. Church.
Yeah, that's Church. And now at 15-9, I mean, Terrace is going to score here, but you've got 5 minutes left and you feel like they could score, but I'm not sure they ever, I don't know. Philly has not had the offense that's going to put together numbers like that to make a run.
Back on the power play.
Yeah, and that one 3:42 left. That's Zach Mans again. He had a great game. He had hat
Yep.
trick. So that's what they need. Like I said, it was a great game for the Rush. I mean, you don't really want to give up 12 goals to Philadelphia, but as you look at it, really, you had that one, and then you've got one at the very tail end of the game. You know, Holden Catoni did it again, but this game, on the other hand,
That
This
game, on the other hand,
this Halifax and Rochester game was a great game.
great game. I enjoyed watching that, and it was well worth the wait to watch it.
Yeah, no, I mean this goal right here with Ryan Smith, where he gets it off the end boards and just throws it around like that, that is crazy. There's another goal later in the night. We're gonna see another highlight. Same thing, comes off the end boards. It's in the Vancouver game. How the guys get it off there like that, but actually he gets his from somebody else shooting. But and there's Cody Jamieson looking good. He's they were talking about uh one of his trades to bring him to Halifax, and it's funny when you look retrospectively how it turns out, and you look at some of these trades, and you're like, what are you doing? You really traded him for
Right?
Cody Jamieson?
You traded John Grant, one of the all-time great players, for who?
Yeah,
Cody. Cody Jamieson. Oh, look at that! He's now one of the all-time greats. He is up there in the ranks.
yeah, no. When you look at it though too, because there's no way anybody was thinking that was good. But here's Connor Fields
No,
just
what a
single-handedly
move!
going through everybody.
That's a man with a mission right there.
Well, that's he does when he looks good like that. He's great. The problem is when he forces it and starts taking too many shots for the team, which he doesn't seem to be doing. I mean, Launchberry has been looking good. McConvey right there getting a goal. McConvey's really starting to come around. Rochester again, their offense I don't think is a problem. I think it's their defense and the goaltending is what kind of has been holding them back since Hartley's been out.
Yeah, the goaltending is definitely an issue. They did play well, but when it came down to brass tacks, Hill, in my opinion, was the player of the game. Just some of the saves that he did make. That wasn't one of them,
No,
but
no, but I mean
he had some fantastic saves that
that's That's the thing, though.
kept
When
them
Hill
winning.
is on, man, Hill is one of the best
Yeah,
goalies in the world, hands down. Like it's not even a question. Hill's problem is he goes through these spurts. But when you look at it, Halifax has given up the most shots, like by far. It's part of
right.
that high pressure system, and when they put, it does help Hill with the farther out shots. But when you get beat bad.
Yeah, yeah. You're leaving the goalie on the out on the limb.
Yeah,
And thank goodness Hill is, some of these splits that he's doing, man, he can go post to post, and
for a big guy,
he's a
he
very, yeah,
moves
absolutely,
very
yeah,
well.
yeah, great athletic ability that he has for a big guy.
Yeah, no, and for a large man, he moves unbelievably well. Clark Peterson really had a great game as well. He hits two goals in a row in the third quarter. Kind of gives him that 2 goal lead and gives him the cushion. And then this goal from Evans though, that was amazing. I actually missed it because I was talking, but yeah, just that put back. Whoop, just the grab, the no, yeah, huge goal from Evans from Launchberry and Ryan Smith. Rochester, I think they're as long as they continue and Hutchcraft develops in 2 years, this Rochester team, as long as they don't lose a bunch of parts and pieces,
Yeah,
mark my words, this Rochester team is going to be a force.
yep,
Unless I
yep.
mean, things don't work out with the goalie. You never know because I mean they put in the other guy here, and actually who was playing for them? Let me look real quick so I don't want to say it wrong. But yeah, no, they had Doug. It's Buchan, I think, or Buchan, but he gave up 3 goals, made 7 saves. Definitely not what you're hoping for in the future. There's Ryan Smith again. Another just a great game. I do love watching that Ryan Smith. He is so much fun. He's a monster, and as
He's a
he
big man.
plays, yeah,
He's a big man. Bushi with his play.
yeah. But actually, and this is Banesh with we have to
Banesh, not Bushi, Banesh.
but this pulled Banesh. This is the 41st goal of the season for Banesh, but I believe this pulled him single-handedly into fourth place in the all-time goal scoring list. We'll check
All
that
time.
stat before we get done. Uh, but I believe that was the goal that put him fourth all by himself. And how about this one right here? Just the patience to give it back. You think for sure that guy's definitely going to take the shot on the far side, but he throws it over to Launchberry, and
Who
Launchberry
gets
yeah, he's
I
been
mean,
looking good
he
too.
had Hill moving, and that's how you got to score them. You got to get them moving their feet.
Yeah. No, it's way easier when you get them moving their feet. But he had a goal and 3 assists. And before we get into the Buffalo game, we'll kind of wrap up that Halifax game. We gotta talk a little bit more about that one because that's a huge game as you're looking in
playoff wise.
in the standings. That was huge. That clinched it for Albany when Rochester lost, I believe.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's
it
what
did.
put them in. So this was a huge game. Kudos to Halifax. Halifax is another team. They've quietly held, what are they in, like fourth or fifth? We're going to look at the standings after, but I think they're in fifth. But they have quietly just kind of stayed where they are. You know, they have their moments where they get on these little losing bouts, but Halifax has very quietly been a team that it wouldn't surprise anybody if they win, but they're also not a team that everybody's talking about expected to win it.
Well, at 9-7, they're doing what they got to do, and it's a matter of getting into the dance. You know, and being where they are, they're obviously going to be going on the road to start up the playoffs. And you know what? They look good. They look good. Hill is starting to get enough of those saves to make the difference. You know, what
It,
they lose three of five or three of four. They had lost three in a row, didn't they?
yeah, no, they were on a bit of a skid there. They pulled it together. Hill, like I said,
Yeah.
looking good. But one thing I did want to talk about as we get into this Buffalo Philly game. So, I mean, I talk about the defense of Buffalo, and maybe Matt Vince isn't, they weren't able to shut Philly down. Philly had 63 shots on goal.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, and
63
that's what I mean,
shots.
is you cannot expect. I mean, Matt Vince is great, but you're not expecting him to make that much more than 50 saves a game. It's
Mm-hmm.
not what that's not what you're going to your goalie for. If your goalie makes 50 saves a game, you're usually pretty happy.
You should
13
be on
goals
the winning side of the usually you're on the winning side,
usually.
unless you're getting shellacked and th're just ripping your defense apart.
Yeah, I mean that's true. It can definitely happen fast. But I mean as you look at it here, uh yeah, oh, it's not quite scrolled far enough down yet. But yeah, so I mean Zach Higgins 48 saves. Zach Higgins has been playing good, and that's why I say you wonder with Deacon Knott is when do you start putting him in? Knott's a younger goalie. Knott could be the future, but you've also got to win now, especially if you're Coach Day down there getting absolutely. Philly fans are rough. I mean, they booed Santa Claus. I mean, you're not getting a pass with Philly fans. I don't care who you are.
You know, I watched the post game interview, and props to Coach Day. Props to what's his name? Blaze, Mitch Jones or Jones. Is it Mitch?
Mitch
Mitch
Jones, yeah, Mitch
Jones
Jones. I'm a huge Mitch Jones
and
fan.
Restus Terrace.
Yeah,
Props to those guys. You know, they're standing with their coach. They're standing with their general manager. As far as they have it's a building year. You know, and like you said, though, Philly is a tough town to take year in and year out poundings. But you want to know what? I like what the coach had to say. He got emotional and. And I hear what he's saying. It's a
the
it's a process.
the problem is
Trust the
though is they
process. Stay
they
with the
they
process.
also gambled. They wanted to win
Yes.
2 years ago, and they gambled. And they brought in Resetaris, and they brought in Mitch Jones last year, and they've been bringing in these parts and pieces. And they gambled the year before, and it failed. And unfortunately for them, it did fail. I mean, they had a big push when they brought Resetaris down. They thought with Rambo and Reardon they were going to really make something. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Well, now you're in the rebuilding year. Well, what did you
Yeah.
do to make that win now? Well, you started trading guys, and once you started trading guys, you're trading your future for the present. So I mean, you put yourself in a tough bind. It is like you said, it's awesome to see that the players are sticking with them. That's what you need, and that's how you build a big program. I mean, Coach Clark didn't turn Albany around the first year. They expected
No.
Albany. I mean, obviously nobody wanted the year they had last year, but nobody expected this year, and that's just confidence in the team, buying into the process, and letting the guys do what you pay the guys to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right there. Let them go out and ball. Put them in the proper positions when they need to be aligned, and let them do what they do. Play great
La,
defense. Make some great saves.
yeah.
And just go perform. That's what the players or that's what the fans want to see. That's what we want to see. Let's see the highlights.
Yeah, it's a lot easier said than done. I do understand that, but I mean, Yeah, it's tough. And when you watch these highlights, though, there is definitely a lot
I
of
mean,
highlights.
the travel incorporated with these guys. These guys aren't like a NHL team or a football team or basketball team. They're together what two, maybe at the most 3 nights a week.
Three
You
nights a
know,
week, and like this weekend, they probably spent a little more time with each other because Philly played Thursday night, and then they did play again. So I mean,
on Saturday.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
was a little more, but look at this goal from Josh Byrne, though. This is what I mean. What a freaking
What a
nature this
split!
guy is.
That split dodge was insane right there.
Oh my God, he's one of my favorite players. No matter what you think about Buffalo, you gotta love watching them because they score some highlight goals. They're an emotional team. They're gonna take some stupid penalties somewhere along the way, and it's gonna be an entertaining game.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when they're rolling, when the Great Dane has got his groove going, that just helps out everybody else.
And when you look at the Great Dane with 11 loose balls, and you're still talking about, wait, Dane Smith also had a big goal night. So he had 5 goals, a huge
Yeah,
night for Dane. 7
yeah,
assists, tied Josh Byrne for assist. I mean, what a night from their two studs.
sure, sure. That's and that's what that's what makes them a champions.
Yeah, no,
Danny
what?
Vince,
Yeah,
making the saves that you got to make in the a ruckus arena. Philly. I've been there. They're they're
look at
great
the
fans.
save right here
They're
by
great.
Higgins.
Yeah, I see this.
And this, I actually had to take a still photo of it though because we need a little bit better view. Because at first they're like, "Oh, he sticked it out." No, he punches it. He comes all the way across with his hand, and you're gonna see I've got a still photo here, and he actually punches that ball out. I was like, "Wow, what a save, Higgins!" It got so much more impressive. You can see Tohoka's just like on the ground there, like, "Yeah, well, I don't know what you expect me to do, boys, because that's about as good as it gets." I beat his stick, threw it under the stick, and he somehow got the glove over. This one, so this uh was actually called no goal on the field, but do you know why they called this no goal on the field?
Wasn't this the one where he was behind? His feet were in the crease behind.
No,
No,
what they
it's a
actually
different one.
said was he did not take possession of the shot of the ball because you
Oh,
can't
he
just
was just
bat it
tapping
in.
in. Yes, you got to scoop it and
It
throw it.
has to
Yes.
be, you have to maintain, have possession of it. It has to make it all the way into the mesh. You can't just like swat it with the plastic off the side of the stick or whatever. So, but great call by the refs, a beautiful challenge by Coach Day here, and they were able to get it because, and they actually, the ref here is explaining that they were able to get possession, and that's what happened.
So there was no possession. It was swatted in.
No, no, no. It was possession. So the ref on the field called it no goal originally because he said he tapped it in. Coach Day challenged it because he listened to his player or maybe he saw the replay, but he knew he had
Right.
the confidence that they took possession of it and then got it in, and that is actually what they called, and it
Also,
was
he
cool
did
to hear
get a
the ref
scoop
say
through.
it. Yeah, Stamper will explain it a little better than I can when we get a chance to do his show because he is that is one thing he's big on. He actually taught me that rule uh earlier in the
A
year
couple
when
weeks back.
he
Yeah,
looked
I
at a
remember the video you guys had. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, and that was one of those. But this goal from Buchanan too. Oh my goodness, Bucky. Dane Smith just whoop, he starts going. I love how he does that though because he pulls him off. It would be easy for him right here, but no, he waits until he sees the goalie start to come off with that shoulder and then throws it back. That's when that behind the back shot is, gorgeous and
That's what they're looking for is that motion. And soon as it's hard to go back where you're coming from.
yes, it is so hard, especially the goalie. He's already out on Dane. He sees him coming, then starts to step across, thinking he's taking the angle, and instead Buchanan, beautiful goal in the third. And honestly, though, when you look at the offense, what I've noticed is when Buchanan is playing good and Frazier are playing good, if you've got one of those guys, because you can expect Byrne and Smith to do what they do, but you need those complementary players. And Kluche also has a
Luce.
amazing goal coming up.
Yep.
But
Yep. And same with Nanato. If all the wheels are rolling, it's a dangerous team. Dangerous team.
right here. I mean,
But
look at Ian McKay. Definitely not somebody you think of as a goal scorer, but you leave him all alone in the front. That's what's going to happen.
that's well, everybody's pushed out, and it was a nice pick on the inside to free him up.
Yeah. No, and here's Chase Fraser right here. Does a little spin. I mean, you would think that would be enough, but instead, no. He's able to step through. And what a pass. This swim move by Kluche, this is what I was talking about. Just over the top. Nobody touches him. And I can actually hear I
Splits
had
the
this guy
double.
that was a coach of mine in college, and I played defense. And if I had just swung at the stick like this here instead of actually going at the body, my college coach would have been absolutely furious. Look at that. He swings
It's
twice,
crazy.
3 times, never once puts the body on him. And Isaiah Davis Allen is who the player is. He's normally not, he's a pretty good player. Not somebody you
He
think
played
of
at
for being,
Maryland. He knows how to play defense. I
knows
watched
how to
him
play
play.
defense.
Yes, he was a long stick midi. I watched him play at Colgate actually, and when they came up to play, and that's why I asked a couple weeks ago, maybe at the beginning of the season, is that who it was? And you guys said, "Yep, that's who it is." And I'm like, "No
It is.
kidding."
My first real experience with him was actually Laxney, watching him out there, and I was like, ooh, this guy is one of those special kind of athletes. You can tell he's been a field player for a long time, but he's really starting to understand the box game more and more as he goes. But just one of those like incredible level athletes that you put him in a sport, and he's just so good.
Yeah, yeah, it's and that's why they are where they are. They're professionals for a reason. They put the dedication, they spent the time, and props to them. Great entertainment,
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's the most exciting sport on 2 feet, hands down.
no
And I tell you,
question.
kudos to Philadelphia. So like right here, you see they actually brought it to within. It's 7-8 right here.
Yeah,
And then Chase Fraser buries the power play goal and gives him another one. And then all of a sudden, wait, no, Holden
they're not
Catoni's going to
done.
step up. They're going to
Tony said, "Holy moly, Tony!"
yeah. And this goal by Catoni's nice. And then just I mean again, Buffalo, they leave him alone for a couple of seconds alone. And this is Mitch Jones. You know who really turned me on to him was Hot Rod. He so when he played for this Mitch Jones was playing for Vancouver and they traded him and
Uh-huh.
Rodney talked so much shit about him. But I mean, you know how Rodney is. He talks shit about everybody. And he said, he goes, no, he goes, he's an amazing player. He's just playing terrible right now. He's like, and as soon as he got to Philly and he started playing better, he said, he goes, you see, he goes, that's what I mean is that kid can ball. He just was not playing the kind of lacrosse that he knows how to play.
Right? It's 9-9 right now, going 10-9 Buffalo.
Yeah. And then they make it 10-9 and then Buffalo and again, this is something Buffalo does good. They're a very streaky team. They're an emotional team. They score in bunches. So to be able to get these two and then they go into the halftime after this, a nice, beautiful goal by Buchanan again, and that's what I mean is when Buchanan and then Frazier's going to score just into the fourth quarter, and when those two players are scoring for Buffalo and the rest of the offense is doing what they can do, that's huge. But this is just, Vince makes a big save, jumps up, they get it down the floor, and just like that, all alone.
Thanks
Nobody
for
from
coming in
Philly seemed to mind this Chase
into the
Frazier
goalie.
taking out Higgins's legs, though. I mean, like that's one thing. If somebody did that to Matt Vince, there's gonna be a fight.
Well, yeah, they talked a little bit about that. As far as the emotional playing for each other and everything. I got to say exactly what you just said. Not for nothing. If someone goes through into Sully like that, I'm expecting one of our boys to make sure that whoever did that is at least spoken to properly. There's
Yeah,
no way.
doesn't just stand up out of the crease and walk out of the crease like
Yeah,
everything's good. Like, hey, great highlight goal, Mr. Frazier. Can I get your autograph after the game? I mean, that's kind of how it was. It wasn't like hey, you do not do this. This is our crease. This is our
yeah,
zone. And no, they're just like, hey, great goal, Mr. Frazier. Maybe we'll make Sports Center from this clip. I'm not sure what they
yeah.
were thinking on that one.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. Maybe that's why they are where they are.
They definitely make better decisions than I have in my life, I will say.
That's for sure. That's why we are where we are.
Speaking of which, huge shout out to Brand Y Distillery. Let me throw their.
Brand Y,
We're
Brand
gonna have to make
Y.
sure.
Get down to Cortland, New York. If you're in the Cortland area, swing over. It's over by the center complex. right in the middle off of 13 there. Stop in, talk to Jimbo, tell him that you seen us on Yeti
On
Talks,
Yeti
and
Talks on BSP, and we sent you down there. We love no brand Y. Like I said, I have been running around like crazy, but now I've got my brand Y nicely distilled vodka, and it's very smooth. You're not going to get a headache tomorrow morning. I love it. And but here is exactly what I'm talking about. When you talk about Buffalo taking stupid penalties, so they're going to score here. Beautiful goal by, I believe it's Dane Smith down low. Yeah, I'm this quick stick. Yeah, because I rewound it so we could look at it again. Josh Byrne, and when he shoots
well, a
like
big
that,
shot.
oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's a shot. You think it's a shot.
Right, but then watch this stupid play right in the middle of the net. Chase Frazier smacks him right in the helmet. Pow! Right in front of the ref. And it just turns and looks at the ref like, you gonna do anything about that, bud?
You're gone.
I
You're
heard
going to sit down.
well, because the
Did they give him the
announcers
goal on it?
they did give him the goal because the announcers were like, they're
Okay.
going to take back the goal. And I'm like, that was clearly after the whistle. You can't really take back the goal because, I mean, if it happened before, then yes, it makes sense because you can't have possession while you're a
Right.
delayed penalty. But after the whistle like
Right.
that, yeah, no, it was, that was an after the whistle. But, yeah, he's going to make it up by, that nice little feed there. And another one, just Robinson. Beautiful couple of
Robinson.
moves. And you actually see it hit the net right back there. It's a little grainy on the camera. They called no goal, but they go through and challenge that one, and they get that one as well.
Travers said, I don't think so.
Yeah.
They're going to get
But this one from
throw the
Burn,
flag.
yeah.
Yeah. Another burn goal.
I know this one's
And another burn goal.
yeah, this
And
one's
another burn goal. And
it, it,
another burn
it doesn't
goal.
seem like you ever run. The announcer definitely never gets tired, but this one was actually burned from. Yeah,
From Dane.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so the one before was Dane from Byrne, then this one's Byrne from Dane, and then you've got Byrne from Buchanan, then Dane. And yeah, good luck stopping Buffalo's offense when they're like this. And honestly, I tell you, a game like this with Rochester, with their offense in full swing, man, you could easily have a 40-goal game. Both of these
Uh-huh.
teams can put up 20.
They got some players.
Yeah, the real
You know,
question is
comes
whether or not
down
they
to
can stop it.
it comes down to something like this right here. Matty Vince getting his assist.
Yeah,
Ding,
Weiss
ding.
able to bury it. Deacon not tries to go down, but Buffalo doesn't give up at all. They don't care what the score is. As the time's running down, you are going to play to the last second. And I was actually pretty excited to see Blaze Reardon score at the end of the game. Unfortunately, I don't think we got a great clip of it. I'm pretty sure the the ESPN camera started glitching out a little bit. But this cursed kid, Connor Kirst, that's playing for Vegas. I know you're not necessarily the biggest Vegas fan. You can't quite wrap your head around the fact of what's going on with him not dressing Bertrand. And I can't
Well, they
either,
did it
especially with
again.
the season like that. It was a last minute scratch, too. They were going to play him right up until then, as
Yeah.
when I was listening to the game. I was like, how do you do that? But this Connor Kirst kid, I love watching him. He's going to be a star. Going to be a huge star for Team USA
Yeah.
in the Worlds this year, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was watching this game and then I fell asleep, but they were definitely on fire. Don't know as far as Greer coming out ripping a blazer for them to get it going.
No, this was a very close game, honestly, though. In Vegas, and I tell you, kudos to Vancouver. They did not give up on the season. Their coach came and called them out at the beginning of the year for a bunch of, basically said, shamed them. Said, you're all out of shape, and what are you guys doing? You're supposed to be professionals. It's not my job to get you in shape, and he's held the team accountable. And I think you're starting to see that mind change in Vancouver though.
Yes.
The hard work goals, the staying in, the guys getting in the middle. And that was one of my favorite post game press conferences ever when Milwaukee called him off. He said, "No, they're not trying. There's nobody in front of the net." He said, "Nobody's running. Everybody's scared." He goes, "And if you're going to play like that, you're never going to win a game here." And he was 100% right.
Yeah. That's why I love a coach like that. Get the make everybody accountable.
It was. That's why we made the highlight that, he obviously endorsed us because he said that's BS. He wasn't talking about Blue Squatch Productions like we, made it out to be, but he was talking about the BS that is your team showing up without the heart to go through the middle and without doing the little plays right. Because if you don't get the little plays, the big plays are never going to happen. If you haven't put the
Yes.
time in to get the 4 or 5 extra shots, you can't expect that 1 or 2 goals. You know, Stamper pointed out a stat to me that teams are around 17 to 20%. If you guys are scoring around 20%, that's a good night. 25, you can expect to win. Any less than 17 is where you really start to struggle. So if you figure it at 20%, every 5 possessions that you earn your team, so all those little loose ball plays, that's a goal.
Well, the ride, that's what kept Rochester in the game against Halifax was the ride. Teat is a hell of a those guys. They do a hell of a ride, and you get those balls just like these guys are doing here. They're playing through the game. Ball was incredible.
Yeah, no, Keegan Ball, another one of those guys. I love watching Keegan Ball. He had a good night.
He's a
He
big
had
boy.
9 points. He's a monster. He's another one Hot Rod used to call out. He's like, he's a big pussy. and at the and I tell you, as you watch he's playing now, he's definitely fallen more in love with that Molosky style, I think, and you really see it.
Think about it, Greg. Think about when you're first coming into this league, what you're coming into and what you're facing. OMG, yeah, I would probably be that way as well. Until you get acclimated and learn the style of play, it's a battle. And these guys are the best of the best.
Yeah, here's that goal I was saying. So this is Crowley. He
No looker
passes it
up
out.
top.
Well, no, he passes it up top. Charlotte Beatties puts it off the boards. He catches it off the end boards. So
Yeah,
technically, he should have gotten his second assist, but they unfortunately didn't give it to him. They only gave it to Charlotte Beatties. I would have loved to seen Crowley, Charlotte Beatties, Crowley. That would have been cool. Just like that
that would
Ryan
have been
Smith
good.
goal, it could have had a Smith from Smith where he threw it off the
Yep,
end boards and bounced it to
yep,
himself.
yep.
But yeah, there's Kirst again with another one. So Kirst had a hat trick as a defensive transition player.
Yep. Yep.
And when
Jackson
you
was on fire.
but when you look at where Kerr scored his goals too, that's why I think he's good. I think Vegas has made some decisions that have put them behind the 8 ball. They fell into that Philly camp where they came in, they wanted to win immediately. They had a decent team, and now I think they've got to live with all those decisions.
Yeah. And now everybody's the deadline's gone, and you got what you got going into the end of the year. Stand up and make a statement, or next year you're probably not going to be on a team, or this or that particular team.
Yeah, no, everybody's looking for roster spots right now. You're 100% right. As you get down, especially a team like Vegas, a team like Vancouver, you're not playing for a playoff spot. You're playing for a roster spot because if something happens and they say they pull you off of, something happens and they no longer want you in one of those teams. If you did not play good enough, they're not going to take a losing player that's no longer wanted on a losing team if you're not willing to put in that kind of work.
Yeah, yeah, it is what you make of it, and if you don't capitalize on the opportunities, somebody's gonna want to take that spot. They're gonna work a little bit harder, put a little more time in. And sometimes maybe it.
There's less than
And I'm not.
500.
And I'm not speaking. I'm not speaking for Charlie Bertrand, but I gotta feel that if I'm him, I gotta believe the guy's busting his balls to try and be on that. He's a winner. The kid wants to play ball and not being. I got to believe that's an itcher. But again, you got a Greer in front of you. You got a Jackson on the left side. You got a left side that is got some serious talent. But he. I don't know. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope he finds some.
I just can't believe you would spend the amount of assets they dumped into him though. I mean, trading the personnel they did that you wouldn't stick with him to try to get it through, especially at this point in the year. Like, why would you not try to get somebody that you've got this much time and money invested in? And here's the other thing: we saw him at Laxney. You know what
Yeah.
kind of offensive talent he can put out. The question
Is
is
that
he
another
comfortable
reason?
enough or confident enough to be able to put up those numbers with those guys? Because Charlie Bertrand is not necessarily what you think of as a big box player. He's a field guy, and a lot of these Canadian box guys get it made up in their mind, and then they you get these guys kind of shying away, and it always makes me wonder, like, with those, how much of it is that old school, I guess the in crowd, they're the boys, it's their group. It's their group. You want to come be a part of their group? Well, figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, well, and that's it right there. On the positive side for him is, you want to know what, he doesn't have all those extra cross checks and slashes. He's going into
But
the PLL,
that's what I was going to say
and
is he has a huge advantage over a lot of these guys because he is an amazing field player. He's one of the I mean, when you look at the PLL, everybody wants to talk about like the pro lacrosse leagues and this, that, and everything else. The PLL has done something better than I think almost any other league. The Rabel brothers, what they've done in making those guys part of the group. Everybody's an owner. It's like a union style of a business.
sure,
And how do you make everything better? You make everybody invested. You make everybody care. It's that
you
simple.
know, as long as it's a good product. I don't like the sixes. As far as keep the long poles out there. If you're going to play field lacrosse, you better have a long pole in your
Well, that's
hand.
because we're long pole guys, though, Paul. I mean, we got a
Yeah,
little bit
but
different view on it than
I
most
don't
of these
like change.
guys.
I don't like change.
I don't blame you. All right, so as we look at the standings for the year, we got Toronto Rock sitting up on top. And again, Toronto's one of those teams. Yes, they've been great, but they have not. They've won a bunch of close games. They didn't run away with this league. You know, they've got 3 losses, but no, they're not blowing people out.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it right there. They're in. Well, they got a 42 goal spread. Is that what I'm reading? Goals for, goals against.
Yeah,
That's pretty close.
yeah.
Usually if
That's
you're
that's huge, though.
you're the number one team, usually you're the one with 200 in 10 goals with 145 against
Well,
type
just
of thing.
look at San Diego right below them. So the 3 top teams that have clinched, we've got Toronto, San Diego, and Albany who have clinched. And you look at the goals for Toronto, Albany, and San Diego. Well, Albany and San Diego are not above 180. So are, already you're looking at it there and you're going, okay, well, they're a few goals behind. Oh, wait, they've also got Rose. And Rosie is and he's one of those guys. He's not the most spectacular goalie to watch. He knows he plays a solid position. He's not making like a Ryan Hartley crazy save, but he's where he's supposed to be. He knows where the ball's gonna be. When he gets beat, it's usually something in anticipation move. So when he gets beat, it does look bad because he essentially guessed wrong. He's predicting based off of what's happening, and when he gets beat, sometimes it looks really ugly. But when he doesn't, you're looking at him and you're like, oh, all right. He's actually, as you're watching where he's making the saves, you're like, oh, you actually were moving there without even seeing what was about to happen just because you've played. And he's one of the guys, he runs I believe he's part of the
The goalie
Beaches.
pool.
Well, he's part of the Beaches organization. He's a GM for one of the junior A teams up there, and you can tell he's a smart player, a real, I guess, scholar of the game. When you watch him, like it's just fundamentally sound, not spectacular. You don't look at Rose and you don't think, wow, that's a stud athlete. Like you look at Josh Byrne or you look at like Buchanan or any of the things that some of these offensive guys do, or like Hartley or Hutchcraft, and you see the saves they make. Nobody looks at Nick Rose and thinks that's a fucking stud athlete right there.
Right. Yeah,
But guess what Nick Rose is doing? What he's
he's making
supposed
the
to do. He's
saves.
making the
He's
saves.
making the saves. Making the saves.
Yeah. So I mean, really, at the end of the day, that's all you need. And then so you look at it, you got the Seals and Albany have clenched their spots. Now we're playing. So I got a kick out of this too. And I actually got a little bit of a bone to pick with Stamp. He tried to tell me last week that it's not the unified standings, and I'm not real good geographically, so I might be wrong on this. But as I look, Toronto, I believe East Coast, right?
Yep.
San Diego, they're a West Coast team. I'll give them that.
West
Georgia,
Coast.
I believe Georgia's still
That's
East
got it.
Coast.
That's East
Georgia's
Coast.
Georgia's on the east. Halifax is further east than us, so it's got to be East Coast.
That's East Coast.
Buffalo, I'm pretty sure Buffalo's east. I mean, it's west of us, but it's East Coast.
It's yeah, this side of the Mississippi.
Yeah, and then we go down to the Riptide because we're going to skip Panther City. So I see 6 of the 8 teams are solid East Coast teams. And then we look and we've got 2 West Coast teams. So you're going to tell me, honestly, that you don't think it's an East West thing. That didn't make any difference as we look at it and we see 6 out of the 8 teams are, yeah, no, that's It's not a coincidence. So 6 out of 8 are East Coast teams. I do think it's made a huge difference them playing all over the place. I think it was good for Albany to go up and face Calgary and see that. Del Bianco, there's a reason he was the MVP last year. There's a reason he's going to break the assist record. Del Bianco is a special. He's a once in a lifetime kind of talent. The way he
Yeah.
throws that laser, it's like I like to think of it. I equate this to the guys I watch all the time. And when you watch Cathers out of Onondaga, that's him. Boom, boom,
Hmm.
boom. He's so fat. That stick is spun around so fast, and he's passing most of the time before the offense is even turning to make the run out of the zone.
Yeah.
It's already
Yeah.
on
He
its
puts
way.
it up there. He feeds a nice outlet, lets the guy run underneath it, and away they go.
Yeah, Del Bianco is one of those rare talents. I think he's one of the best goalies as far as goalie assist. I think he's one of the best to ever watch. I think we're lucky honestly, we're lucky to be able to watch it. When you watch the way, like you said, he floats it to him. He seems to know when the guys are going to sprint, when they're going to take it off, when he needs to bounce it, when to
Well,
put it off the end boards and just let his guys chase it.
you just said it right there. I was going to say, with it, he also puts it out there with that intention of having a bounce so that the guys can run underneath that bounce, know where it is, because he does launch it so early. So,
No,
yeah, he's got great vision.
that is huge. And then as we look at the bottom, I mean, we got Philly and Rochester holding it down for the East, but the rest of the bottom 8 looks like the West Coast.
The West Coast.
That's
Yeah.
that's the Western Division right there.
Now let's go. Imagine if you had the numbers for fans to show where the support comes from. Oof. Toronto
Well,
sold out shows.
I will say
Uh,
Vancouver, honestly though,
they haven't.
Vancouver since Milwaukee's been there, they've been building it. Vancouver does a great job with their marketing and everything. But that Vancouver team is you could take the entire Albany season and that's one game in
Right.
Vancouver. And that's
Frank,
where I wonder like how Albany can compete with these teams because you look at the capital that they got like Buffalo. They're selling 16,000 seats a night. Albany
night.
sells 16,000 seats a year. Right? I mean, that's not fair. You can't expect a team to compete when you're talking and not to mention what I pay for my season tickets is like 2 tickets to a Bandits game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
It, it,
It's crazy.
it's crazy. You've got the haves and the have-nots. I mean, I laugh too. So when you look at pro sports, the NFL salary cap went up more this year than the NLL fucking grosses. Like
Yeah.
you take the entire NLL and what their gross income is, and we're not touching what the salary cap difference went up.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So the way I see it though is this works out 2 ways. Either we hit this at the right time and we're catching that, we're catching the star as it's shooting. We are straight up catching, Icarus, but we're not going to melt our wings because we're not plastic or wax. But when you look at it really, you're like, ooh, baby, how do these small market teams compete with somebody like the Roughnecks? Calgary, another team that sells thousands of tickets. I mean, they're double digit thousands every game. Even if you just did $10 a ticket, you're talking that's a player every game you can pay for the year just off one game.
You talk about Albany. Albany's got great lacrosse around its surrounding area. I mean,
And the
Mr.
Firewolves
Una,
have done good,
yeah,
but the problem is, so I know exactly what it is because the Albany Attack, we're doing retro night in Albany this week, right? So you've got
yep,
the Albany Attack, they're doing a retro thing. I mean, now this is literally all I do. I mean, this is what we do at Blue Squatch Productions. We only talk box lacrosse.
yep.
15 years ago, when the Albany Attack were here, they're less than 40 minutes from my house. Do you know how many Albany Attack games I saw?
Probably none.
0. You know
Yeah,
why? Because I was a full-time hockey player. We didn't have time for that shit in the winter.
yeah,
So I mean,
yeah.
that's when you talk about these markets. Canada, the way they play in the summer, you develop all these players. You develop lifetime people. Calgary, and that's the other thing with these teams. You see these teams, they move all over the place. What's Buffalo got? They've been there for 30 years. You got to put the time in. You got to take the shitty years. You got to take the good years. You got to take what you get and move it forward. You can't expect anybody to start off at Buffalo's caliber. I mean, that's 30 years of fandom. Those guys know what bars the people go to. They know all the fans. Every fan at the Buffalo game knows who John Tavares is. Every fan at the
Everyone.
Buffalo game has never heard of
Everyone.
Glenn Clark.
Right.
I mean, it's a different. Albany's building it. They're doing a great job, but you can't compete with the Calgary. Those guys have been playing since the time they were little kids.
Hmm.
You can't take that passion that is built up in people and try to develop it.
Well, we have with the NABLL, right here in Utica, same concept. It's a hockey, lacrosse concept, town baseball, whatever you want to call
Hey,
it, soccer. Go on.
prime example. Why did I end up at Mohawk Valley? Because the hockey coach came and talked to me.
Yeah.
Why did I play lacrosse? Because I loved lacrosse and I just happened to be a hockey player. That's the only reason I ever ended up playing for you was because their hockey coach came to my high school and said, "Hey, you're a pretty good hockey player." So I played for you. I showed up and you didn't know if I had any idea what I was doing. And as you knew, I got lucky enough. I'll never forget. Mr. Stonebridge was our lacrosse coach. One of the nicest human beings in the world. This guy strictly dedicated his life after teaching to coaching men's lacrosse. What did Stoney know about lacrosse? Fucking nothing. But what did Stoney know? He knew a lot of kids liked to play it, and Stoney knew how to communicate with us.
Yeah.
So he took somebody like me who knew nothing and got me just interested enough to get to college. Then I get to
Hmm.
college, then I learn a little bit more. And then as I'm teaching, like you take so like your lifetime of lacrosse, I picked up more in practice than my entire coaching staff had in my lifetime of lacrosse in 2 years. I'm trying to remember who the first person was that told me lacrosse is a sport best learned passed down, and it means like everything you need your 10,000 hours. And my wife and kids will laugh at me because they know I always am the biggest asshole that says there's no such thing as talent. It literally is hours. You spend the
Hmm.
fucking time, you'll get that good. It's that simple.
Hmm.
Talent is an
Absolutely.
excuse for people who don't want to put the work in. That's my
Hmm.
and I'm a little rough around it, but I mean talent is an excuse for people who don't want to put the work in. And it really comes down to the hours logged in. And when you look at what lacrosse is when you take these towns that have been playing since they were little kids, and you take somebody like Rose or somebody like Jobson. Like Jobson's one of my favorite examples. Nobody would say Nathan Jobson is a phenomenal athlete. Like nobody looks at Nate Jobson and says he's a phenomenal athlete. But Jobson has some of the best stick skills for guys in his age, hands down. I mean, it is what it is. There's less than 500 people on this planet that throw a fake pass like Nathan Jobson. Can he run a
Yeah.
can he run a 40 in 3 seconds? Fuck no, he can't. But can he throw a fake pass like a motherfucker? Yes, he can.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
mean,
he can.
and that's what I mean. And that's not something that he learned just from playing. That's something Nathan Jobson learned because he loves playing lacrosse. And he learned just that time in the stick. And I see Bella outside now, and she's going nuts. I mean, she's spending 5, 6 hours a day outside right now with her stick, just bouncing it off the wall, bouncing it off the wall. And for somebody who
Hmm.
didn't play sports like my wife, like they look at it and they're like, what is she
The
doing?
hell is she doing?
And I'm like, you don't get it. When you find that love, like I used to shoot hockey pucks like they were going out of style. My dad literally had to buy 2x6s and put up against the house basically to stop us from shooting out the windows because all we did was shoot hockey pucks. Why?
Yeah.
Because it's what we love to do.
Yeah.
In box
Yeah.
lacrosse, it's the same way. And when you talk about these teams that are building, Buffalo, huge youth organizations. Everything starts with the youth organizations. What was Connor
Yes, it does.
Fields? He was their fucking water boy. He was the
Yeah.
Buffalo Bandits water boy. Well, now he's playing for Rochester. So other than somebody like me who's talking smack to Connor Fields saying, "Hey, your hometown doesn't even want you." I mean, but that's what it takes to build this sport and grow it and to make that next level talent is that passed down. So you see these teams, and I always wonder how do you? I guess as a GM of a lacrosse team, Paul, I'm asking you, how do you compete with the storied tradition that some of these towns have. I mean, you outlasted the Salt City Eels. Salt City literally has been playing. I mean, in Syracuse, in the city of Syracuse, they've been playing box lacrosse for 50 fucking years, and somehow you outlasted them. Like, how do you do that? Like, what does a GM do to bring talent to places that it hasn't been to try to build it in these populations?
You build a network. You build a network. You talk to
It helps
people.
having Neil Paulus. I will say, having a Hall of
Uh,
Famer does.
it didn't hurt to also have Tony Sorcy. People knowing people. Bob Leary.
Well, prime example,
You can
Tony
go right
Sorcy.
now.
You end up with Tony Sorcy. So most people in the NABLL are probably thinking we don't have a paid coach. Well, the Utica Yeti happen to have Team USA's coach. So
Assistant.
assistant coach. Either way, he's
Right, right.
a coach
But
for Team USA's
coach for
women's.
Team
Yes.
USA. Yes.
So when you look at it through that lens, then you take Peter Leota. So Peter Leota, one of those freak athletes. Like, he's that physical specimen. He's a young kid who loves it. Now Peter Leota's down in, where's he live now? He's down south
Charlotte.
somewhere for Charlotte. So he's in Charlotte, and you've created the kind of atmosphere that makes him want to fly home to fucking play. How do you build that environment?
You're sincere. Be the person you are. You know what? I don't know. My guys, what they're putting on the field, you can't say thank you enough. As fans, you can't say thank you enough. On both teams, as far as that goes, I'm fortunate. I've had an opportunity here in Utica to run, be at the right place at the right time, and I'm very grateful to the organizations that have helped out and helped build the lacrosse experience that we are building. And it's a great place to be right now for lacrosse, box lacrosse, and field lacrosse as far as with Tri City, but. All around, just and I've said it to a couple people now so far this week. The people that I've met through lacrosse, and they talk about it as the medicine. I can't say it's true enough. The amount of medicine, getting done tonight. I'm fired up now because just the opportunity.
Here's something most people won't know is, I mean, essentially, when me and you got back together, it'd been 20 years since I talked to you.
Yep.
I write to you and I say, hey, you remember me? And of course, whatever. We'll talk about that some other time. So,
okay.
so that happens. But the medicine of taking me from a place where I was mentally, where I felt essentially useless. Like, all of a sudden, I spent my whole life as an athlete. I was a laborer. I did all that shit. Everything I did involved my body. But the medicine you get from the game, as far as feeling usefulness, like you see Josh and his girlfriend at the game, you can't buy that kind of happiness of Josh banging on the glass, and then all of a sudden Josh turns around and he's starting chants that they can't get going in Albany. Why? Because it's Josh and he's having a blast down there. And you hear him say, "Now let me hear that Firewolves howl," and everybody howls when Josh says it. And like
Right.
that is the medicine of the community that brings it together. And speaking of the medicine and the community that brings it together, I also have to give credit to Paul Noecker for picking our number one stat leader for the year so far with goals and points. Well, Josh Byrne is ahead of him in points, but he tells me Jeff T. I still argue that I still think, honestly, a goalie or a face-off guy that plays amazing defense but can win those guaranteed face-offs is your best pick. But anybody else looking from the outside has got to say, Beach, you're a fucking moron. Look at what Paul picked. He picked T. He's got 47 goals. He's taken a team with a rookie goalie that doesn't belong in the playoff contention to, oh, wait, something else you said. Guess what? The New York Riptide, unfortunately, they're going to be Ottawa, but they are a playoff team. Why? Because of this man right here.
Hell of a player. As far as I don't know much about any of these players, but just watching what I see, talk about just raw love for the game. Not that these other players don't have the love, but man, what a lefty he is.
Oh my god. But that's somebody you can tell that absolutely loves it. He's out there playing all over the place. He's obviously getting as much time as he can in and just going nuts. So Christian Del Bianco is the I didn't have to laugh at that. He is the oh wait, you know what we've noticed? I don't know if the NLL listens to us, Paul, but I gotta believe there's somebody there that does. Because ever since we started, now the shot clock is a screen capture of the shot clock, so you actually know what the fucking shot clock is. But
Right?
even more importantly, what do I see here? I see goalie assist. And when you look at 16 assists, 84 is leading the league. Let's see where 16 brings us, I wonder. How far down do you think 16 brings us?
I'm trying to find where you are, and
So
I have not a clue.
Christian Del Bianco, who is the one of the leading save leaders, is
Yeah,
also 83rd in the league for
an
assist.
assist. And he's
Not
got 16.
it's not even fair. And then but even I love what I really love above that is Aaron Woods. Guess where Aaron Woods was playing? He was playing in the ALL until 2 weeks ago. Guess who else had a tryout with that team? Oh wait, Chris Ryan from the Yeti. Guess who else? Gail Thorpe from the Yeti. That is the future players of the NLL. If anybody is wondering, they're actually in their playoff season right now. Maybe next week we can take a little bit of time to talk about that because I am a huge fan of the ALL, mainly
Yep.
because it's the players I watch all summer mixed with like the top players that I watch from the summer are playing in the NLL. That's something we've been very fortunate to see and experience, but it's also something that people should pay attention to because where was Woods playing?
He was in the
He
ALL.
was in
Which
the
team?
ALL, and then he
I'm not
came.
sure which team.
That doesn't matter. What matters is he came to the Halifax Thunderbirds and started on a run.
Lit it up. Lit it up.
Absolutely lit it up. I mean, what that was nuts for him to come like he did at the beginning of the year. That was, yeah, no, that was great, and that's what all those guys need because the heart that you feel from him is honestly, I think, what makes this league is guys like him playing, guys like Stotts. You see any one of either of the Stotts brothers score a goal, or guess what, Ryan Benesh becomes the fourth all-time leading goal scorer. And guess who was behind him going absolutely apeshit? Stotts.
Hmm.
Stotts was more excited than Benesh was. That's why I pointed it out in the replay because that's what I mean is the medicine game. Because Stotts got medicine from Benesh scoring a goal.
Yeah.
Say what
Yeah.
you want, but Stotts was absolutely. There is few human beings on this planet that experience the feeling of euphoria that the Stotts brothers get when they score a goal or one of their teammates does something exciting.
That's the glory of being on the floor and playing the game.
Yeah, no, I
I
mean you can't replace it. It's that
again, I wish I was able to have played the game. Being old and not able to, it sucks. But being able to help guys do what they do on the floor, that's my reward. That's the medicine. It's when you see a Blaine take off from the left side or the right side and do something squirrely, and you say, "Oh my God, Jesse
no, but
DeMays."
what's even better is when you watch Uncle Jesse
Yeah,
do something like that and you know that like Uncle Jesse, guess what Uncle Jesse's doing Monday morning? He's going to
yeah,
install some fucking pipe.
yeah,
He's going.
yeah,
Uncle Jesse goes from being a superhero on Friday playing for the Yeti, diving across, doing some silly stuff, getting the Yeti tattoo on his arm. I mean, we could talk about Uncle Jesse all day, but what separates Uncle Jesse from the rest of these guys is he's got the Yeti tattoo. What's Uncle
yeah.
Jesse doing? He's laying out across the front of it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fired up. We got a Chris McDonald driving from Vermont to participate.
The
It's
whole
great stuff.
but that's
Yeah,
you can't even explain like the excitement I got from McDonald's little brother when
yeah,
McDonald was out there scoring. Like that's what I love. So Ryan Benesh, I lied. He was in the 5th spot. He replaced Dan Dawson. I believe he is 552 for goals. As you look at that, is he going to catch Gary Gate? I don't see it happening. That's another 100 goals. He can average 40 to 50 a season. I don't see Benesh, who is my age, having 2 more seasons, which would put him ahead of Gary Gate.
I mean, take a look at John Grant at six. What was it, 668 there? And take a look at Travaris.
But oh my, so
Crazy.
I actually huge shout out to the Seneca Serpents. Brian got Brian McVaugh, one of the Seneca Serpents GMs, got me to meet John Tavares. He is one of the nicest, most humble human beings. I go up to John Tavares, and I'm a big fan of box lacrosse. In case anybody doesn't know this, and I say, hey, what you're doing in Buffalo is special. Like you have built like what you've built with the fans and everybody is special. I was like, you should really. I don't know if anybody ever tells you thank you for what you do, but it's special. He looks at me and goes, I don't think so, kid. And I was like, but I'm paying you a compliment. It's just saying, like, what you've built is special. You won a fucking championship last year. You have built an environment that the fans all feel invested. The players all feel invested. Everybody in this town feels invested. Like Buffalo, you've been to a Bandits game. It's special. And
It's special.
you try to compliment him and tell him that he's had a part of that, and he's like, "You're an idiot." And I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Think about how many years he's got invested into that organization. Does he have the entire time? I mean, in regards to player, my my goodness. Hey, I got a shout out from Blaine. He wanted to give a shout out. Woods played in the PBLA for the Hampton Hammerheads as well.
So he was an airplane teammate for the
He was
Hampton
a
Hammerheads.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Anybody who doesn't know what the PBLA is, actually, I should drop. I have one of their games too, and I don't imagine they can sue me since they're defunct now. But we do have one of the Hampton. Actually, I have a who the hell? No, actually, it was Six Nations playing Trenton.
Down in Trenton. Yep.
Yeah, and actually, I was so glad. So I caught that, and I happened to catch a couple guys' first professional goals. And then
Yeah.
I caught another kid, and he had a 4-goal hat trick. And it's like, I don't know. Sometimes you just look at this and you're like, how did we get so lucky?
Yeah, pretty cool stuff, isn't it? I you know, the one again, the people that I've met, it's great medicine, man. Great medicine. I'm looking forward to this coming NABLL season.
There
There's
might be some big news coming out of the NABLL. Everybody tune in to NABLL news, which hopefully will be starting soon with me and Tim Samesh, our former NFL player, also a Tennessee Titan. But we should be starting the show up here pretty soon. And honestly, the news that should be coming out of that league pretty soon is pretty exciting. We're gonna look at it, but I had to I was just laughing at this. So we look at the saves. So Nick Rose, who right now is playing goalie of the year level, hands down. I don't think anybody can doubt that. He's still fucking 4,000 saves away from Matt Vince.
4,000 from Matt Vince.
Even if you do 50 saves a game times 10, so we'll say it's 500 saves, for 10 games, we'll say 20 games a year. So we're going to say 1,000 saves a year. He's 4 years away from catching Matt Vince. And that's if Matt Vince retires.
Right now. Yeah. Well, once again, Matt Vince has been there for how many years? 16?
Yeah, but
17?
Matt Vince is one of the prime examples of, yes, you want to be an athlete, but your brain is so much more important in this sport than so many others.
Yep.
I mean, like you look at Matt Vince, if you see him like when he takes his helmet off, he's a in shape individual, school teacher, I believe. So I mean, I'm not gonna say a genius level, but he's obviously smart enough to get a master's degree to become a teacher. And then you look at what he's accomplished and what this league could be or should be if people like me and you were in charge.
Right.
Like Matt Vince should not have to be a school teacher. He's
No.
he's one of the best players in one of the best sports ever. And, and what's happening?
It's growing. Keep
It's
doing what
growing.
we're doing. We got to
We
keep doing what we're doing, Beecher.
Speaking of which, I love seeing everybody in the chats. Please feel free to throw us a comment. I'm actually paying attention to the comments. We've got a couple buddies down from Georgia. My buddy Kyle, who has been posting, and honestly, it's guys like you, Kyle. I think he's a Dobson fan. I think Dobson was his coach, and I made a sweet highlight reel of Dobson. But Dobson, as we look at the stats in Georgia, what do you think's going to happen with Georgia going into the playoffs?
They're going to get a home game, I believe, are they not? Eh,
They still haven't clinched. They're still technically behind the Firewolves. So they haven't clinched yet. So when we look at it, they're 4. And
they're
honestly,
4.
I don't think they're going to come ahead of Halifax. I think Halifax will be farther up. So when we look at it, I think they're going to be 5.
Well, it comes down to matchups this week, doesn't it?
Well,
Halifax to Vancouver, Rochester, New York, Toronto, Albany. That's the one right there.
that Toronto Albany game, I can't wait. So we will be there April 6th down in Albany. I'm so excited. I was really excited for the Northeast Invitational to start off, but when they canceled it to the next weekend so I could make this game, I was like doubly excited because I
Yep.
thought I was going to have to give away my tickets, but now I get to go watch Nick Rose. My favorite line ever at an NLL game is this pretty little girl sitting next to me said, "Rose, you're going to need a whole gallon of ice cream." And I said, "What does that mean?" Because he's going to be so sad after Albany scores on him. One of the best lines ever. So, anyways,
ever.
Paul Noecker, catch us up. What is happening with the Utica Yeti right now? We're playing. We've had some tryouts. Coach Tony has evaluated. You don't use tryouts so much as to cut players as too much as to find out where guys stand athletically. How did that go, and how do you go waiting for those college kids? Like, as a GM, where do you place yourself? You've got some college kids coming that are in phenomenal shape. How do you figure that out?
As far as everybody needs to put their best foot forward. The cool thing is we are going to Onondaga for the Invitational. We got a lot of
Which will be streamed on Blue Squatch Productions, in case
which will
anybody's
be
wondering.
streamed. Yes, it will. So there's an opportunity for guys to show us what they got. Outside of practice, we're seeing what they got. We're 4 practices in, going on our 5th, and guys have showed up, and not that we're placing people, but some guys know that they're still learning the game, and some
Mario
guys want
Diaz, he's 3
Mario
year into
Diaz,
playing
3.
goalie, like box goalie, which is also funny because that's where Sully's at. And so I get a kick out of this. Like, I would have thought Sully, and you could tell that Sully was a defensive player who is very smart, maybe not the most athletic player, but Sully knows where to be, when to be there. Like, I would not want to be Coach Tony trying to decide between who's playing this freak of an athlete, Mario Diaz, who's in phenomenal shape. Mario's a young man, phenomenal shape, but maybe he doesn't quite have the IQ that Sully has as playing. Like, and I know you're not the coach making those decisions, but as the GM, like, what goes through your mind before game day? Like, how do you deal with all this?
I get excited. You get the jitterbugs. Like you just said, I don't have the control of the wheel at that point. Coach is coach, and who's starting, who's not. Those decisions are based on the coaches, what they're seeing. And is which goalie's hot. Is it Sully that's going to step up? Is it Mario that's going to step up?
Well, I
They
mean,
have the opportunity.
this was a huge thing, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I mean,
No,
going forward, Crosby, he's been your number one goalie for the Yeti. Like when you think of the Yeti and who's starting, most of the time you would assume it was Crosby, and now we look, Crosby has pulled a Jobson and Hill and Cook explicit, expletive, I'll say, because as the
And
guy
they're
who
growing the
calls
game.
it,
They're growing the game. You know what? That's what I'm excited about. Is
no, I love
a
it. I
lot of
got
these guys are
Mick Vaughn,
expanding into the
Crane.
next. Yeah,
What Crane are providing in Rochester is huge. That's what makes the game grow. But so this
absolutely.
is your first year without a super experienced box goalie. You're
Yeah.
going in as the GM. Is that something like, did you have to look or did you feel confident? I mean, I know like we've watched Sully a lot, and I happen to be a big Sully fan because Sully Sullenberg. How could you not like him? But
Absolutely.
as you watch Sully though, he's one of those super smart players. Like
Yeah.
he's maybe not going to hit the guy in the back pipe unless he thinks it's coming. And then he's going to be there before the shot even gets there.
He's kind of similar to the Nick Rose concept. He's not the doing a split across. He's making sure he's in position prior to that. Mario has that athletic ability that he can get across. He can make those split saves, and watching them both throughout the entire winter process and going to tournaments and seeing where the dedication. Mario's driving from Albany almost 2 times a week to
Well,
get his rubber, to
also,
get the
and then
shots.
what else is Mario doing? He's playing in the field, and that's why I call him Super Mario.
Yeah,
Because if you have never seen Super Mario, I'm not sure why you guys would ever put that kid on the bench when he can play like that. He's a stud athlete. He's one of those freak athletes. Like he's in phenomenal shape. He's fast. He works for a living, so he's strong. He can do what he needs to do. And you guys have this kid sitting on the bench, and I'm looking at it as a 40-year-old guy going, why don't you have this freak running? Because I've seen him run, and he's
yeah.
fast, and he is that level of athlete, but he's also that good of a goalie.
He wants the that's the cool thing is the two of them are fighting for number one. And the best part about it is they've grown together. That's why again,
Sully
there's the
has
medicine.
taught Mario a
Yeah,
ton.
a ton.
No,
And Mario.
Mario will be the first to tell you. He like last year, Mario even said he wasn't ready. But by the end of last year, like I was watching highlights of Mario going, "Are you sure you're not ready, kid? Because I've
Yeah,
watched this Mario. I've seen this once or twice, and now I'm watching you dive across the post, and you're saving actual. I literally have a highlight clip
a
of
couple
Mario
of
Diaz,
USA of Mario
uh,
against USA.
but you're talking USA and NLL level players, and Mario's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, I'm not good enough to play." I'm like, Mario, do you watch the same game I do, bud? Because I'm not sure what you're
I-
seeing.
I'm excited. That's a great depth. We got depth. Paul Gates is a third goalie, and then we also have Brienne. As far as, and I apologize about uh,
Paul, nobody's ever going to
oh,
accuse you of
Pilo,
knowing everybody's names. Oh, Pilo?
Brienne Pilo. Yeah,
Oh,
she's our fourth goalie.
I happen to know a couple of
So
Pilos from Cranberry Lake, and they're snow brains. I'll give you that. They're frozen
okay,
brains, so we can't expect too much out of them. But Paul,
it,
we've
yeah,
been live for an hour and a half.
we do it every week.
I tell you, there is few things in life as fun as talking box lacrosse with Paul Noecker.
I enjoy my time, Breach. I wish we had more time in the day to do such. And it
Someday,
comes time when we got to
someday
say,
you won't have a full-time job, Paul, and this is all we're gonna do.
someday, someday.
If you think so,
By
let
then,
us know in the
and
chats
by
if that's
then,
all Paul should do.
all right, yeah.
All right.
Mrs. Necker would love that.
All right. Well, Paul, thank you very much for all that you do and all that you contribute to the sport of box lacrosse. Without guys like you and the GMs who do the shitty, hard jobs and fill out the paperwork and do all the tough things, we would not have what we have. So thank you very much, Paul, and all of the Utica Yeti, because Sully, without guys like you who are playing, who are debating, well, am I too old to play? You're not Sully. I
You're
love
not.
watching
You're
you.
not.
We all love watching you, Sully. Thank you so much, Paul, for all you do. And guys like Sully and the rest of the team, we really appreciate everything.
Absolutely, Greg. Thanks for what you do. And Yeti Nation, we'll talk to you all next week.
That's all you can say. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Family Landscaping. Make your neighbors green with envy. Contact Russ. The Black River Ale House, where the Romans go. Dura Products. Who's got the pipe? Jimmy Fay's got the pipe. Contact Jimmy Fay for irrigation, drainage, pool, and spa. You building a new house? Contact Jimmy Fay. He's got your stuff. The B-Dry system. Your basement's wet? Get a hold of B-Dry. Believe in 271. Nobody fights alone. Eric Kiefer, LUTCF, your local representative. George Kaler, Sales and Service. Liberty Affordable Housing. Rome Sign and Display Company. Nice Scoba. The men and women in blue, thank you for what you do. Robert Dix Insurance Agency. Contact Bobby Dix. Tri-City Lacrosse. 40 years of summer fun. Master Vito Hyundai. Contact the sales force. CRM Rental Management. The Clinton Tractor and Implement Company. Contact the Caledona family. Hello, Yeti Nation. Get down to the Bag Square Brewing Company, downtown Utica. They Farms. Where's the beef?